Hey everyone, welcome to week 3. I hope you've had a good week, and I want to start by saying thank you for submitting your STEM stamp ideas. You all have developed some awesome ideas, and I think that as you work more towards implementing those, that you're really going to make a difference in your local school and community in regards to STEM. So I'm excited to continue to work with you on that project. If you have questions or need anything, or if there's any way I can be of assistance to you in that, please let me know. And on that topic, before I go any further, I have developed a rubric for grading that assignment. You can find it in two places. One in the Appendix C in the course information module that explains about the assignment, and I also created a module 3 under the content link and placed it there as well. So you can just take a look at that just to get a sense of kind of what I'll be looking for in terms of grading. But I'm really excited. I think you all have developed some great ideas, and if you haven't submitted your idea to the discussion board, please be sure and do so by this Sunday night at 11:30 p.m. All right, so for this week, I want to touch on a few things. The main idea, obviously, is that your performance-based assessment project design is due by Sunday night, February 4th, at 11:30 p.m. to the D2L Dropbox. This will be your first draft. So I've had a few questions come up this week in regards to this assignment that I wanted just to address in this video, and it may help just as you kind of put the final touches on your project design for your first draft. So the first question I've been asked is just, what is a performance-based assessment? And so this definition is coming from the Defined Learning link. I posted it in the Materials and Resources module for submodule for week 1. So you can go back to that. It's kind of a 7-part series that walks you through information on performance-based assessments. But by definition, that particular website defines a performance task as a learning activity or assessment that asks students to perform or demonstrate their knowledge, understanding, and proficiency. Performance tasks yield a tangible product and/or performance that serve as evidence of learning. So the next question that comes up is, okay, if we know what it is, what makes up a good performance-based assessment? In other words, what are the characteristics? So again, few things defined as characteristics of a good performance-based assessment. One is students should be applying their knowledge and skills in this assessment. So at minimum, that means that students should be operating on a depth of knowledge level 2, if not probably a 3, if not maybe even a 4, depending on how you set up your task. So when you think about what you're doing and what you're having the students do, think about what depth of knowledge level type questions you're asking them. A performance-based assessment is open-ended, so there's not really a right or wrong answer because the students are ultimately going to be creating or doing some sort of performance, or maybe some combination of both as a result of their work. So it is open-ended. It establishes authentic context for performance. In other words, it gives a real-world meaning to what the students are doing. So if they're doing a performance-based assessment dealing with math and science, then those contexts have meaning to them, and those content areas have meaning. So you want to make sure that that's involved, those authentic contexts. Students need to demonstrate higher order thinking skills when conducting a performance-based assessment. It's not just simply your recall level of knowledge. Usually performance-based assessments, and yours should, based on the criteria for this assignment, integrate 2 or more subjects as well as 21st century skills. So for this assignment, your performance-based assessment design project is required to integrate math and science and have technology interwoven throughout. 21st century skills also need to be incorporated, so that is going to be things like your critical thinking, students working together, maybe presenting a topic or a result, something like that. And then finally, they are evaluated with established criteria and rubrics. So again, since they are open-ended, usually a rubric is used to assess student learning. And so for this assignment, you are required to create at least one rubric to assess your performance-based assessment for your students. That rubric needs to assess content standards as well as 21st century skills. You can do that together. You can do 2 separate rubrics, whatever you'd like to do. And so if you'll take a look in the materials and resources submodule for this week, week 3, I found some links that I think might be helpful in terms of helping you develop those rubrics. If you're like me, developing rubrics is not my favorite thing to do, but I realize their importance, so that might help get you started in terms of that aspect of the project. The final thing that I wanted to touch on was the GRASPS template. So hopefully, as you've read about, or maybe you were already familiar with this, GRASPS is an acronym that stands for Goal, Role, Audience, Situation, Product or Performance, and then Standards and Criteria. So the question I've been getting is, how do I really incorporate this GRASP template into my design? And there's really 2 ways you can go about doing that. One is you can define those parts of the acronym in a handout form, student-friendly terms that you would give to your students to give them an idea of what they're supposed to do. So if you look in the materials and resources submodule of week 1, you'll see a link that says GRASPS examples. That process, there's several examples of that process. So for example, one of those, it says the goal is to create an illustrated brochure to teach 2nd graders about the importance of good nutrition for healthful living. Your role, you are a teacher of nutrition. Your audience, the target audience, is a 2nd grade class. Your situation, you need to show the difference between a balanced diet and an unhealthy diet. Your product, performance, and purpose, you need to create a brochure that describes healthy versus unhealthy eating and shows at least 2 health problems that can occur as a result of poor eating. Standards and criteria for success, your brochure should contain accurate information, easy for 2nd graders to read and understand. So that would be a handout that you would give to your students to explain what they need to do, and you're using the GRASPS acronym to be able to explain those parts of the assessment. Now, another way you can incorporate the template is something I posted this week. It's in the Materials and Resources submodule of week 3. And this is coming from Milwaukee Public Schools, and it basically presents the students with just kind of a paragraph summary of what they are supposed to do. And then the teacher uses the GRASPS template acronym to kind of plan out the specifics of the task. So if you look at that link, then you're going to see what I liked about this particular link is it incorporates ways to use the GRASP template for kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. So depending on whatever grade level you're focusing on for your task, you can find some examples and multiple examples in different subject areas: writing, reading, math, science, and so forth. So for example, here's one that came from the kindergarten section. They define what the student has to do. So for the student, this is what you would give the student. It's called Perfect Pizza. You are the top chef at the most famous pizza parlor in town, and you create all of the recipes for the food on the menu. The owner has asked you to add a new pizza to the menu. This new recipe will be featured in a cooking magazine. Include a picture of what this pizza will look like after it is cooked. Then write a recipe that includes all of the ingredients you will use to create this perfect pizza. Write your recipe using words and/or sentences that explain all of the things that will top the pizza. Then explain how to put together and cook the pizza. So that would be what you would give to the students, kind of a summary of what they need to do. Then in your own planning, as the teacher, you would define the parts of the GRASPS acronym. What is the goal for this task? The student's goal is to write a detailed recipe. What is the role? You're a top chef at a pizza parlor. What is the audience? The readers of the cooking magazine. What is the situation? The student has been asked to create a new recipe for a pizza and explain how to make it. What is the product, performance, and purpose? The student will create a recipe, including ingredients and directions for cooking. And what are the standards and criteria for success? The writing will be assessed using a particular rubric. The student should also use these criteria to self-assess. So there you're using the acronym in your planning, not giving that necessarily to the students. So you can do one or the other in terms of using that template to create your assessment. So I hope that helps clarify a little bit. If you still have questions, let me know. I'll also be glad to look over anything. So if you want to submit to me through email what you've done so far, or maybe a point where you're at, where you're stuck and need some feedback and help before you submit your first draft on Sunday, February 4th, then you certainly can do that. And I'll be glad to help you with it and give you some feedback as the week goes on. One other thing before I leave you, the following week, February 5th through 9th, is the week that I have set up for us to attempt to try to get together to do some peer review editing of your performance-based assessment design work. So I have set up a doodle poll. I think that's how you pronounce that. There's a link, if you look in the topics, objectives, and assignments link for week 3 for this week, there is a link at the bottom to the poll. If you will, go on that link and just put in your name, check off the dates that you could attend. I put in some different times on particular days. Let me know if there's other times that are better for you. Let me know that too through email or whatever. But I figured that would be a way we can kind of come together and try to decide what works for everyone. And then I will email you when we're going to get together and where and so forth. I'd ask if you would please try to get that doodle poll information to me by Thursday night of next week, 11:30 p.m. And then by Friday of next week, I will email everyone to let you know where we're going to meet and when. I'm expecting probably maybe like an hour and a half or so at most. If you have kids and you need to bring them, feel free to do that. I may be doing that with my daughter, so you won't be alone there. So just wanted to let you know on that. And I think that's about it for this week. So let me know if you have questions. I'm here to help. Keep working on your project, both projects, your STEM stamp and your performance-based assessment design. Get it submitted by next Sunday, February 4th, to the D2L Dropbox. Take a look at week 3, topic, objectives, and assignments, that link to get more information for what to do this week. And I look forward to coming back together next week and then getting to see you soon as we peer review your work. Have a great week, and I'll see you soon.